Look down from a high balcony. Right now, just imagining it, something in you tightens. Your stomach lifts. Your hands want to grip. Your legs feel a little unsure. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to decide to be afraid. Your body does it for you, instantly, before a single thought forms. You felt this your whole life, the pull back from the edge of a cliff, the wobble on a tall ladder, that strange floating drop in your gut when you look straight down. And you probably never asked where it comes from. But this feeling is old, older than cities, older than language, older than our species. The fear of falling is one of the most ancient alarms in the animal kingdom. It was screaming inside creatures long before anything like a human existed. The question is this fear something you were born with, or something you learned? The answer is stranger than either. Let's start with the obvious part. Falling has always been one of the simplest ways to die. Think about your ancestors. They lived in trees. They climbed cliffs for shelter, crossed rocky ground, scrambled over ledges to find food and escape predators. For a creature living in that world, a single bad step wasn't a scare. It was the end. There's no walking off a fall from the canopy, no recovering from a tumble down a rock face. Gravity doesn't give second chances. So evolution had a brutal, simple rule. The ones who respected heights survived to have children. The ones who didn't fell. And falling ancestors don't become your ancestors. This is why the fear feels so deep. It isn't a preference. It's not like disliking a food. It's a hardwired alarm, sitting far below your conscious mind, ready to fire the instant you sense a drop. And here's something wild. It's not just us. Nearly every animal that can fall has some version of this, and scientists found a beautiful way to prove it. Back in 1960, two researchers named Eleanor Gibson and Richard Walk built something called the visual cliff. Picture a table with a thick sheet of glass across the top. On one half, a checkered pattern sits right under the glass, so it looks solid. But on the other half, that same pattern is way down on the floor below. So, through the clear glass, it looks like a sudden, terrifying drop, even though the glass is completely safe to crawl across. Then they placed babies on it, and baby animals too, kittens, chicks, baby goats. And here's what happened. Again and again, the babies would crawl happily across the solid side and then stop dead at the edge of the visual cliff. They'd pat the glass. They knew by touch it was solid, but they still refused to crawl out over that drop. Some cried, some backed away. The baby animals did the same. A day-old goat placed on the deep side would freeze and stiffen in fear. For decades, this was the proof. We're born afraid of heights. Case closed. Except it wasn't, because here's where it gets interesting. A researcher named Karen Adolph spent over 20 years redoing these experiments, more carefully. And she found something that flips the story. She used real drops, with a spotter ready to catch the child. And what she saw was surprising. A brand new crawler, a baby just figuring out how to move, it crawls straight toward the edge, right off it, no fear at all. It has to be caught. Think about that. The fear isn't automatically there at birth. But then something happens. After a few weeks of crawling around, bumping into things, learning how their body moves through space, those same babies change. They start to hesitate at the edge. They test it. They feel their way carefully. Not because someone taught them with words, but because they learned it, fast, through their own experience. And here's the strangest part. The moment that baby learns to walk, the fear resets. A new walker will stride right off the edge again and has to be caught, just like when they first crawled. They have to relearn the danger all over again for standing up. So what does this actually mean? It means the fear of heights isn't simply printed into you at birth, and it isn't simply taught by your parents either. It's something in between, and that's what makes humans special. Here's what makes this so important. You aren't born with the finished fear. You're born with something better. You're born ready to learn it, almost instantly, the moment you need it. Evolution didn't hand you a rigid rule that says all high places are scary. That would be clumsy. A baby who's terrified of everything can't explore, can't grow, can't learn. Instead, evolution gave you the perfect setup. A brain pre-wired to take the danger of falling seriously, that snaps that fear into place the very moment you start moving through the world on your own. It's a survival instinct with a built-in trigger, loaded at birth, fired by experience. And once it's set, it never really leaves. That's why, as an adult, you don't need to have fallen off a cliff to fear one. Your body already knows. The lesson your 1-year-old self learned crawling across the living room floor is the same lesson protecting you on a mountain trail 40 years later. That drop in your stomach when you look over an edge is the sound of an ancient alarm doing exactly what it was built to do. Some people fear it more than others. For a few, it becomes so intense it turns into a phobia, a fear so loud it gets in the way of normal life. But even that is just the volume turned all the way up on a system every single human carries. A system that kept your ancestors alive on every cliff, every tree, every ledge for millions of years. So here's the full picture. Falling has always been a fast way to die, so evolution wired every animal that could fall to fear the drop. For a long time, we thought human babies were simply born with that fear. But the truth is deeper. We're born with the potential, a brain ready to learn the danger the instant we start to move. Crawlers learn it, walkers relearn it, and once it's locked in, it guards you for the rest of your life. The fear of heights isn't a flaw or a weakness. It's one of the oldest, smartest safety systems ever built. And you were running it before you could even speak. So the next time you stand at the edge of something high and your stomach drops and your body pulls you back, don't fight the feeling. Thank it. That little wave of fear is a gift, handed down through millions of years of ancestors who all had one thing in common. Every single one of them stepped back from the edge. Watch your step.